Previously on AFTN.
Why are we talking about Saturday? There was no post-game coverage of Wednesday.
We are going to come to that in part 3.
I know, I saw it. Why are we not talking about that first?
Because
all right.
Goes with the flow into part 3.
I'm going to have to leave because I was on vacation. I didn't get a chance to catch the game, so I can't hear any spoilers.
Okay.
So I'm going to avoid the game.
Okay.
I'll walk out for that segment.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy it. A trophy was raised.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me who raised it.
That's all I'll say. Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful and not as smoky British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
And if you're listening to this show in the podcast, this is episode 294. We're getting up to the big 300. Going to have us dressed up like the film 300 when we do that episode.
Oh, that'll be fun. So I have a few weeks to get in shape.
Yes. Or we'll just Photoshop.
Okay, good. That works too.
One or the other. So we've got a packed show as always. We'll just warn you right off the back. There's going to be some swearing in this show. First of all, it's a sad moment. It's our last song from Football Violence Awareness Month. And it's got some swearing in it. So usually when our Wavelength song has some swearing, I thought, hey, carte blanche, we've got to mark it explicit anyway. What the fuck? Let's just go for some swearing. And
wait, I thought you're also still not supposed to just do that.
It's okay to do it as long as it feels natural.
Why don't you do it all the time then?
Tell you something that feels natural. Coming from behind. And that's just what the Whitecaps did on Saturday night in San Jose. There's nothing else to say except what the fuck happened in San Jose.
Well, you're really going to ride this one. It was just both teams had like 10 minutes or 10 to 11 minutes of just breakdowns, either with defensively or if you want to say offensively, they just clicked for those 11 minutes. Obviously, San Jose scored 2 goals in their 11 minutes or so.
It was entertaining.
And Vancouver scored 3 goals in theirs, and that was the difference.
Now, football cliches are very tiresome. We all know that at the end of the day. But if ever a match merited the Tale of Two Halves tag, I mean, this has got to be it. First half, Caps were not in it. Or, as we like to say in the UK, we weren't at the races.
Okay.
Which actually Robbo did also say after the match.
He didn't use leggy at all.
No. But the first 25 minutes, there was something wrong with him. After that, they kind of showed a little bit. They didn't threaten much in the first half, but second half, whole different animal, like Pepperami.
Yeah, the beginning of the second half wasn't as, off to the races like you want to say, but there was a moment that I think right after they earned that first free kick outside the box where Jordi Reyna converted. I think once that hit, then it was just like.
But before that though. Did you feel that the turnaround was coming? Because I didn't.
I felt it after the substitutions, a little bit. When Gazal came on and then Mosqueda came on, I felt like there were
something out that didn't age well about. Let's hope we don't have to chase this game with the subs that we have.
Although when Gazal came on, I was thinking, what are they doing? Why are they putting a defensive player on? But obviously it worked.
Well, they had to take De Jong off to see him getting sent off, I think. But yeah, Russell Tybert came on against New York as a defensive midfielder and kind of changed the game a bit. Ali Gazal comes on in this game and kind of changed the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Which does make me wonder whether we should even look at going back to this two-man defensive shield. Try and solidify things.
But I think even when they play the two-man defensive shield, there's just too many individual errors where I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. But I'd like to see, I don't mind it, as long as they give a little bit of freedom to one of them to move up the park. If one of them is allowed to like push it forward, like maybe a Tybert or something like that, so we can maybe
but
not.
If it's Tybert and Gazal, I'm not sure that either of them are fully capable of doing that.
One of them is capable of like being like a buzzsaw and being attacking in the box and causing issues, like and being able to get back, which is Tybert. I feel sure he's not going to be able to control the ball going up the field or anything like that, but once he's in the box, he can cause a little havoc or something and still not be out of place to run back, and because he's got legs to go for miles, right?
I think we talked about it last week in terms of the formation, right? Like whether you call it a 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1, it's more the makeup of that center part that determines kind of how they're going to play. Yeah, and so far it feels like Gazal with Russell has been the best.
Yeah, I mean, for me that is how
I've moved to that
right
now. I was on the Felipe Tybert bandwagon a little bit, but Felipe, I think for me. I know a lot of people said Felipe has been bad all year long. I don't think that. I think he's having a really long stretch, unfortunately, at this time where he's not going well. But Gazal and Tybert are, and I think you got to ride them until you see something else different.
Definitely. It was a nice little bit of role reversal considering the 3-2 game that the Caps had a couple of years ago down in San Jose.
Yeah.
When they were 2 up, David Ousted got sent off for ridiculousness, and then they lost that 3-2. So,
but here, no sending offs. They were able to earn their way there. Yeah,
and I've got to give a hat tip to my wife, who
I saw that on Twitter.
I'm on the same boat as
you.
Made
me look really stupid by saying, "See, they're going to come back," and I mockingly sent a tweet about it that then she said made me look really condescending.
And then you said your wife said the exact same thing.
So we really should have the wives presenting the show. I think I invited Caitlin along. She didn't want to come. She's in bed.
I was, while you guys were doing all this, I was busy dancing the night away with my wife at a wedding. Oh. So I actually wasn't, I didn't watch live, but I was following a little bit live and then, But I found that your tweets hilarious.
That must have been nice to come home to the game, not your wife. Oh, well, both actually, because, I mean, she is a lovely lady. Let's move on and delve into the match a little bit by the look that Zach just gave me.
I did make her listen to your joke from last week.
Oh. Sorry, Mrs. M.
She had a laugh.
Right. The Caps got themselves in a deep hole very early.
Yeah, 7 minutes in.
Yeah. Nice finish by Heike. It was a nice finish. Do you not think it was a nice finish?
It was a decent finish.
Yeah, it was a poor header from Mond, right?
Yeah, well, it was horrible defending, but the guy took it well.
Well, look, you could break it down even earlier. De Jong, should not have given him that much space to even cross the ball. And first of all, he should have closed in a little bit.
Lima's crossing was great.
Yeah,
Mond's header out.
Like,
it wasn't
did
as
you
bad,
say Lima's
actually.
crossing was great?
It was dangerous. It was in the mixer.
I think it was more
speculative.
I've really appreciated Aaron Mon this season. What he's brought most of the time. I felt that was more on the clearance. I don't
think he was a moron.
I don't think it was that was more on the clearance. I didn't think the cross was particularly that great. It was just an error in
I think I don't know if he meant to do it, but I felt he should have. Maybe he couldn't even get to that high, but I would have preferred the clearances to be right back at the crosser. Like instead of crossing it somewhere where you don't even know where anything, you're looking forward, the ball's coming to you, cross it right back out to them. So you know where everybody is.
Got to say, my initial reaction was it was a poor header out from Mon, but watching it back, he's probably expecting a Whitecaps defender to close that down and then do the additional clearance. I don't know how much power he could actually have got on that from his angle.
Okay, so maybe it's hard to. It was just it turned out poorly for him.
Yeah, didn't make him look good, but then
it went over Felipe.
Three Whitecaps.
Yeah,
going to ground at the same time. None of them getting near the ball or the man
because they were too far
and
away.
Then allowing Heike to hit the ball just a little bit off the ground over all three of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Like
it was a nice finish, like you guys said.
prefer one of them to be standing up at
Yeah,
least,
one
so
of
you
them
can
has
at least
to.
block
You
it.
can't have three of them hitting
Now,
the deck
a lot of
like
people
that.
were on Felipe again.
Yeah.
He was a little tighter to the center.
Yep.
But he had no backup from and Christian Teixeira. Because Christian Teixeira, if you watch him from before the cross comes in, he's standing there, but he's standing outside the box and just standing there and not moving at all. And then once the ball gets to there, once the clearance goes in, then you see him start sprinting. Mm-hmm. But he could have been in that box and covering Heika a little bit better at that point. Well, I think it's on a lot of people on that run.
Definitely. But it's another goal from the edge of the box as well, which is disappointing. Do you feel Marinovic should
inside
have
the
got
box,
it?
wasn't it?
Well, it's on the edge,
Okay.
just inside.
Okay.
Do you feel Marinovic should have got it? I think he should have done better than he did.
I think probably the three guys sliding in front of him probably put him a little off.
He's probably think one of them's going to at least stand up.
Or
but yeah.
he's thinking Brady's going to deflect, so I don't know which way the ball's going to go once it gets deflected, so maybe he doesn't want to commit to it that much quickly.
I don't think it's a heinous error, but yeah, I don't think it's unfair to feel he could have done better.
He doesn't seem to have a strong hand. Like when he's like scrambling to get to the ball and reaching across the goal, he doesn't seem to have.
He did in World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, but we weren't there.
Well, I wasn't there.
Now the second goal, which 11 minutes later, that was the worst defending than the first one for sure, because De Jong, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he just burnt out his brakes or something like that, but he couldn't stop, and he ran right into Hossein, and he should have stopped because Waston was right there. Waston wasn't going in for the tackle like that, but he just went right in there.
He kind of came from nowhere when you first watched.
Well, he kind of did a.
He was
curl.
rushing back to get in the play,
and he kind of curled back through the box right at the striker.
Right away, it looked to me in the box.
Oh yeah.
It's clear penalty. Certainly no arguments from that. And then 2-0 down. It's just
Marinovic almost got them that. He looked better on the penalty.
Yeah, he was closer than that.
Just needed stronger hands.
The rest of the first half, we huffed, we puffed. We couldn't blow any houses down. We couldn't blow the ball into the net. Delivery was poor. We had corner after corner at one stage. It just wasn't getting any. Kamara's miss. That was just that kind of summed up the first half really. And at half time, I saw no way back. I am a pessimistic bastard at the best of times. I will admit that. But saw no way back. No way, Jose, I said.
There was no hope for you, Michael.
No hope at all. But what do I know? That's why I'm a pundit, not a coach.
Well, when
that and my ban.
We talked during halftime of the game, and you were saying, "Oh, we'll make it a quick show.
Yes.
We'll cover the game first.
Yeah, we'll just do everything in the game in the first bit. Maybe just do a couple of.
We'll
sections.
get out of here by 12.
Yeah.
Wait, can we still do that?
We can rattle through it. It's up to you.
No.
It's up to you in part 3. Right, second half. It started off with 3 bookings in the space of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, we're going down to 10 men here. Frustrations have boiled over. My money was on Felipe or De Jong.
I don't know if it was frustration or maybe they were just trying to get into the game and they were getting a little, like, they probably told him to get on the front foot.
Well, yeah,
and he went a little bit, they all went
said he told
aggressive.
them not to be so soft.
Yeah, and they went a little bit too much.
A little bit to heart.
I just double checked. Yeah, this is going to be a 3-hour show.
Well, Felipe got pulled off.
Yeah.
So did De Jong.
De Jong.
I think both of that though was to save getting sent off.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Well,
but I think
for De Jong, Felipe was just dreadful.
I think De Jong just maybe because he had a good first half, a little bit more than first half of the season. He's been very solid.
Yeah, the last couple of
so I think maybe
games.
He's just worn down a little bit, and that's why Levi's came in a couple times.
Well, that's
too.
a concern though, because he's not playing well. Brett Levi's can't go more than 70 minutes by the looks of it just now. So then you're looking at Breck Shea, who's got his back injury. Are we going to be putting Fonzie back at left back as our best person?
Well,
and
later on, he had one of the best defensive plays of the game.
Yeah,
he is the best player for every position, save maybe center back or keeper, though, isn't he?
I'd still have him at keeper. I would keep Alphonso Davies.
And if he's at keeper, he has so much part of the pitch to run. He has more pitch to run up the field.
Sweeper keeper.
Oh man,
that'd be fantastic. Felipe, though, he did get pelters from all sides, it felt. He was poor. This isn't the Felipe that we saw with the Red Bulls. Even in Montreal, he looks like a different player. I know we talked about it before. He came here, he started good, but he doesn't suddenly become a bad player overnight. He says all the right things in the scrums. He gets everyone fired up. And what's up with him? Why is he just in a slump?
Well, again, we talked about it last week. Is it because he's being asked to do more at the back, and that's not really suiting him, right? Like,
I think that's it. I think he's just out of position of what he normally plays.
Yeah, it's like neutering his offensive, prowess and capabilities.
He's concerned about rabbits way too much.
I'm not.
Oh yeah, that was a bizarre quote.
I'm not totally sold on that opinion, but I think it's a valid question to be asked.
The subs helped. They added a bit of freshness, a little bit of zip. Caps got back to in it. 2 goals in 2 minutes. First, just before the hour mark, Reyna's brought down for a free kick, picks himself up, hits it home.
You forgot the most important part. He pulled up his leg of his shorts.
Oh, I never even noticed that.
He did that. He pulled it up.
Like Ronnie.
One side only though. The one he was going to kick from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I missed that completely. Now, talking about whether Marinovic had done better on the first goal, Tarbell should never have let that in.
That was awful.
The problem with that one is it bounced just before it got to him, and I think that threw him completely. And again, that should never got through the wall. That should never got through the wall.
As well.
Michael, is this a keeper making excuses?
No, I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling he should have gotten it for sure. But that thing should never gotten through the wall. I don't know what the thing is.
You talk about soft hands. He got it.
Yeah,
he got
hands on it. Yeah.
I thought, he's going to put it away, and then somehow it ends up over him and in the net, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I know we're entering the whole if the Queen had ball, should be the king and all that territory again, but.
Again?
We've talked about stuff like this
it happens in the previous 100 episodes of the show.
If he keeps that out, do the Caps get back in it? Was that our fine lines game changing?
I think so.
You think they'd still got back in it?
No, I don't. I don't think they would have.
Oh, you don't think they would have?
I think that was a major turning point.
Then I definitely think that they would have.
I don't think they would have. I think
that was the catalyst. I think the halftime.
I think
the kick up the backside of the halftime.
Yeah.
That was the balls on the Queen.
Yeah,
definitely.
That is the kind of thing you wish they would video.
The
Robbo losing it, Kai speaking up, giving them the bollocking that they so badly deserved and needed. Clearly,
he apologized after the game too. That was nice.
I'm sure we could get someone.
Kai. Oh yeah.
I'm sure we could get someone to video that.
Yeah. Surprised Kai hasn't actually videos everything else. But anyway, yeah. So 2-1, Reyna gets them back. 2 minutes later, we're back on level terms. Somehow, from nowhere, it's a 2-2 game.
It was a counter, right?
Yeah.
It was just a counter, yeah.
And talking of Kai, it was great stuff from Kai.
Yeah.
Picks the ball up just inside the Caps half, quickly turns, powers forward, plays into Shera. Great stuff by the Bug to kind of pull the ball inside, force Kashia to kind of commit himself. Then he's got all the time.
And by the way,
world.
everybody was slipping on that park, and I think
it was reminiscent of Simon a little bit, right? The slide, except for this time, the El Bichu was betting on the guy, thinking he's only going left.
Yeah,
he's only going left. Cuts back and finishes with his right. It was glorious.
It was great.
And there was 2 defenders too that could have stopped it easily, but it luckily got through them as well.
And keeps this absolutely amazing record going that if the Bug scores a goal, the Whitecaps don't lose, which I think you just have to keep him now forever. Although he has to still score.
But he has to still score, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What number was that for this season? I forget now.
6 or 7?
Yeah, okay.
One of that.
So 6 or 7 games they haven't lost. Okay, that's good.
That gets us into the playoffs. But I watched the final goal a couple of times, counting the passes. 14 passes set up the winning goal.
And yet it was still a long ball that played.
Yes.
No, because the thing is, I think
they were just beautiful long ball.
They were just
quality long ball.
They were just moving the San Jose around all over the place, and I think it got them way off their formation, and that's why they were able to spring that one.
But Mon's ball, perfectly brought down by Reyna as well. Got to give him full credit for that.
Great run because it completely looked offside.
Reyna,
like if you think,
yes.
it looked offside, but
especially Kai, right?
Yeah. Well, no, Kai was fine because that was a kind of a cutback almost, wasn't it?
No, not on the goal, but on the ball to Reyna.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't he a little bit further?
It did look like he was a little.
It reminded me of like Ruud van Nistelrooy, you know.
I'm putting it down to the bad angles. We'll do that.
Yeah. Oh, the camera angles.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But he wasn't touching the ball, so I don't think.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was why that was one of Ruud van Van Nistelrooy was one of the players who most benefited from the offside rule changing. Because you could then be offside in the middle of the field to go out to the wing. You have you've gained an advantage, but you're not offside, and then you're wide open in the middle. And this was, to me, it was a little reminiscent of that.
I mean, we'll talk about Kine part 2, but he didn't have a great game. Ends up with the match winner. That's just how football is. But it was Reina that made the team tick in that second half.
Did you mean to say he had a great game because he had the match winner?
Well, there's that viewpoint as well. If you're glass half full or glass half empty,
And they need
let's try and be positive in this episode.
And they needed to play a content warning when he got subbed off too.
Yes,
They needed to play some kind of content warning at that point because he swore
yes,
heavy,
nothing wrong with that.
solid.
As we'll hear in part 5.
And maybe part 3.
Yes. Oh no, we're gonna break Zach in part 3. I think. A few scary moments. San Jose basically threw everything at the Whitecaps, including Wondo. When the third goal went in, the boos that were ringing out from the San Jose fans, and they were chanting for Wondo as well. You've got two good guys up front in Hosen and Vako, but you've got Wondo that's a proven goal scorer, but he's starting on the bench. Should he be starting for San Jose? Does it matter at this time? Because it's like they're out of everything.
I think he should be at least starting at home, and they find a way to get him on the pitch. I can't understand on the away games that
it does seem a waste having him as a super sub.
Yeah, if they want to have him as
in a way,
but he's more effective than our super sub.
But Eric Hurtado?
No, Breckshire super sub.
Oh, they mean Anthony Blundell.
No,
we
but
have a list.
Just so everyone, those are all inverted. Those last two are inverted quotations.
But
I don't know why it's their real name.
But I agree with you. I think they should. Like, I can't understand why he's not starting unless he's like can't go a full 90 or
maybe I couldn't.
But no, of course not.
I'm not a DP though. Although I could be because I also have a bad back like Breckshire. I was just complaining to Zach on the way in. I'm on tablets tonight, so if I'm all over the place, that's why.
Another reason we have the content warning.
Yeah. Anyway, we held on. Had Fonzie's clearance, as you talked about, Steve. So
yeah, and that was
good.
That was Wondo there that he got it away from too. So that would have that. I feel like if that wasn't clear, that was it.
Yeah. Final two questions for this part then. The win against Portland. Was this better than that? We were under the cosh against Portland, but we put in a great defensive effort, came away with a win. Obviously, it's a derby game. This game, we came from behind, fired all over the place, got back and got the 3 points.
It's hard to say that a win away to Portland.
Yeah, it's better.
Is better. It's always better.
Yeah, it's always better.
I guess a win against the worst team in MLS.
Yeah,
where you've put yourself in a hole.
And then you think of it, you're the catalyst for their losing streak. That's going on now.
Looking forward to talking about that.
Now this is also the first win in San Jose, right?
Yes. Ever.
Not MLS era.
Yes. Sorry.
Easy.
Ever. Nothing. It's like the Premier League. Nothing in England exists before the Premier League. Apart.
You'll offend Willie's Corner if you talk like that.
Don't want to do that. Last thing then, what can we take from this?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. And we'll be back.
It's true, though. It's true.
Oh, it is. It's like, what half was the real Whitecaps? Did we really see the Whitecaps pretty shit, can't beat the worst team in MLS? That first half, is that really the Whitecaps? Or was it the second half team that fight to the end, show this unity that Stuart Kerr was going on about and fight for the 3 points? Or is this a team that can be both Jekyll and Hyde in the same match?
I was going to say, or is it oxymoronically both?
Yeah, I think it is. I just think this is a team that has so many highs and lows that they can keep showing it in the same games.
No, the thing you can take from this is it was a game they should win, and they won, and that's the most important thing.
And we're still alive.
Yeah.
Well, they would if they had lost. Technically, they would have still been alive too.
Yeah, but I'd already at half time I had planned our end of season show. I had to completely rewrite the schedule for this. But we will be back with some more chat. We're going to hear from the coaches and a lot more after this.
Hey, it's Stefan Runovic, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Chicks Dig It. That's who the band was. Calgary band. They used to be signed with Sub Pop, but this is, after that, it's one of their later releases from 2005 with Earthquake. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the earthquakes and other natural disasters. I had a whole line about everything when it was half-time. The show was going to be called Fault Lines and pointing fingers at things, but no, we're going to be optimistic and positive because this was clearly a massively important win. It means nothing, of course, if they were to go to BC Place next Saturday and lose.
And I don't know if it doesn't mean anything, but it definitely would wipe the slate clean and put them back to zero, essentially. Right now, they're at a +3 of, where they should be.
I wish our goal difference was at +3.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
It could very easily have been, but yeah, they have to go and do it on Saturday against San Jose again. You've got to think they will, and it's going to be a lot more comfortable. Or are San Jose going to feel really slighted and just come out all guns blazing with nothing to lose?
That's the thing. They look completely dejected after the game, especially the three guys they showed on the bench. There's three guys. Those guys look.
But they were really pissed off. I think like just getting pulled off.
Yeah,
more than anything.
Those guys look, and so it's either the team's going to come completely like unglued and where they don't believe in the manager at all, and they just don't show anything, or they're going to say, let's get 3 points away from home because we dropped 3 points to these guys.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about their head coach after we hear from him in a sec, but the turnaround, I mean, we alluded to it in the first part. Nowinski said they got bollocked at halftime by Robbo. Yeah. Robbo said that he said some words. Kamara spoke up. I mean, is that what it was down to? Was it just lighting that fire, or was it the subs? Was it a combination of everything? And why does it need that to make a team play in what was a massive match that they had to win? Yeah,
and the thing is also, I don't know if you heard it, but after the game, he mentioned on the radio that he was thinking about making all three subs at halftime too.
Oh, no, I never heard
that. He said that, but then they decided to give him a few minutes. That would have pleased you. Yeah, well, they gave him a few minutes, but it wasn't like until the 60th. They did it, I think, in the 52nd or something, or 53rd minute when the subs came on.
The old Bobby Robson.
Yeah.
We said this after Portland, that team that was out there, you've got to say, apart from maybe Mond, that was your full-strength team that you would think that the Whitecaps are going to be going to the end of the season with on paper. But Portland perhaps showed that the people that we think are their strongest guys are maybe not their strongest guys, and vice versa. I don't know. We're going to hear from both head coaches now. We're going to hear from Michael Stara and Robbo. So let's bring you that now.
Sorry, obviously visibly upset after that match. How much does it hurt to be up 2-0 for the first time in 6 months and suffer such defeat?
Of course, we played really well, especially the first 30 minutes, and we totally controlled the game. And we talked about in the locker room in the halftime to continue to score the third one. When we conceded the first goal, I think that then we lost everything. Actually, we lost the shape, the power, the willingness to play, and so we lost everything in, I think it was 7 minutes or something like that, right? So, no. Of course, crazy defeat.
To what do you attribute that collapse? Is it mentality?
I mean, that probably yes. I mean, there's some mental thing, of course, that then when you consider a goal, that's you're facing a good opponent, so that's, I mean, that happens in a game, right? Sometimes that you consider a goal, obviously, then you have to handle that. But we lost everything. We lost the shape, we lost the power, we lost the willingness to play. Then we came back a little bit, then reacted, after the third goal, but then it was too late, right? But for me, that I think we played really well first half, and we totally dictate the game as planned. So, no, really hard defeat, that's for sure. Yeah.
So within the first 20 minutes, you got the 2 goals, so it looked good. And last week you said you guys had a great half last week, but then they scored 3 goals within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that rapidly, what can you say about that?
No, of course we have to look at the goals, of course, afterwards in video, but. I think that's more like of a mental collapse, right? You can always, of course, we can discuss situations, or you should handle this situation in that way, but for me, that was a mental collapse.
So you guys won today, but it's 13th game in your last 16 in MLS where you guys have given up 2 goals or more. What do you feel is the difference this year between last year? I mean, obviously, it's like there's lots of things, but is there something breakdown at the beginning that needs to be changed around? Or
I think I think you're always trying to analyse the game, and I think we spoke a lot last year or the year before about not scoring enough goals, so we put a big onus on trying to score more goals. When you do that, the quality of players in this league are getting better and better. We know that. You pour more men forward than maybe you would if you're trying to keep clean sheets, and you expose yourself because good players are able to create spaces. So, I think it's, if you analyse the game today, first half, first 20 minutes, I said to the guys, I told them a few home truths at half time, but they actually spoke up at half time as well, including Kai, and they admitted that they weren't at the races, and I raised my voice a little bit in there. That's why I've got a bit of a croaky voice at the moment, but they responded great, and I believe in them probably more than they believe in themselves sometimes, and I can't get my head around that as a player who played for 20 years, so they've got to just believe that they are good players, because when they produce performances like that, and especially in the second half, we're just not nice to play against, which is a good trait to have.
Under what circumstances is effort more important than the numbers on the board, if that makes sense?
If you don't put the effort in, you shouldn't play football. That's the reality of it. I said the nuts and bolts of the game are run, work, tackle, head, do all the fundamentals in football. You can't just turn up in, especially the way Major League Soccer's going. It's getting better and better each year. We know that. The quality of players is coming in is crazy. So you have to do the fundamentals, and then it'll be, games will be decided by the better players. That's what happens sometimes. And if you don't do the basics in any sport, I'm assuming, in Canada we're a big hockey. It's a big hockey town and hockey country, and I'm sure they'll say the same things with the wrists and skating and things like that, which I don't know too much about. But basics are the most important thing.
Coach, because you could tell that they were complacent in that second half. The Quakes were, and that allowed you guys to tackle a bit more.
Well, I'll speak about my group. Obviously, Michael, at half time it was probably, a perfect game plan for him. But sometimes, the managers don't play the game. The players play the game, and 2-0 is a horrible scoreline. We've been there this year before. We've been 2 goals up, and, sometimes you just got to do the basics, fundamentals, and hang on. We got into our groove. We got a goal with Jordi's free kick. And you sense the confidence rise, and 3 goals in 9 minutes shows how dangerous we can be on the road as well. So we're really pleased. Obviously, I'm sure they'll be disappointed in there, but they played really, really well in the first 25 minutes. They deservedly be 2 goals ahead. It's 2 mistakes by us. We know that, but probably it was an entertaining game for a neutral, if there was any neutrals out there.
You guys took 3 yellow cards pretty early there in the second half. The score is still 2-0. Were you concerned the team was self-destructing, or was that perhaps the catalyst the team
needed? No, I thought we were soft in the first 20 minutes. I thought they won every second ball. Goals usually comes down to a mistake or people switching off or not winning your battles. I thought they won every second ball. They won every header. They wanted it more. And that's a big concern. No team of mine wants it. I don't want to be out-fought and out-battled, as you call it. So I said to them at half-time, the fundamentals, I don't mind losing a game. Losing games of football happens, but you don't go under and you don't give in and you don't be soft. We're in professional sports here. We're in big boy world. So you've got to roll your sleeves up and fight. And we did fight. We showed a little bit of fight. The subs made a big impact in the game. At 2-0, you're always, gambling, trying to throw an extra forward on, and we just tweaked it slightly with Nico coming on with the energy, and then Ali, and obviously then Eric coming on as well, because Kai had a tight hamstring. But sometimes you get them right, and sometimes you don't.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the
the gaffers there. Upbeat Robbo, Eeyore, I think, was possibly doing the press conference for San Jose.
Yeah.
I don't mean he's an ass.
I just saw that movie.
I
saw that movie this week. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, my wife wants to really go and see it, so hopefully we'll go and see that.
Definitely worth it.
Eeyore?
No, the Christopher
Robin.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, Stara. He talked about the third goal being key. Once the Caps got it, he said that San Jose just lost everything. Shape, power, willingness to play. Twice he said that in that brief
willingness
segment.
to live. I shouldn't joke with that. But yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah, clearly it was a crucial goal in the grand scheme of things. For us, though, I mean, if it mentally killed them, mentally for us, never just mind this game, just moving forward. That should be a huge mental boost for the whole squad. But
they've had
think
these
that after Portland going into TFC.
Well, they had that after the New York game, NYCFC away game, that they felt like that was going to be a boost. So they've had the Whitecaps have plenty of these like big moments, but they haven't been able to capitalize it. Not saying that they lose games after these moments, but they disappoint the way they give up a goal or so.
And I know you can argue that the TFC game was midweek, so they didn't have all the rest and stuff. But if they don't come out on Saturday, all guns blazing and ready just to rip San Jose a new one, it's going to be a massive disappointment.
Yeah, they definitely. You guys were talking about this a little bit earlier. They cannot be complacent.
No,
there's no room for.
This needs to be
no room for error.
As Robbo said, banana skin, things move in mysterious ways, all that stuff. I don't know what was up with the quotes on Friday. They were
weird.
Very weird.
Maybe it's the smoke that got to them.
Possibly.
Yeah. I think they need to come out like the way they came out against them in the playoffs. Remember that?
Another 5-0 would be wonderful.
It doesn't even have to be 5. It could be 3-1 or 5-2 because they'll probably give up 2 goals.
I mean, that's a given.
But it has to be something like that where they comfortably win. They can't be like tight and maybe make up some ground on that goal differential.
Was it you that suggested the Caps should have a handicap?
Oh, just give up the 2 goals and see how they do for the 90 minutes?
Someone mentioned that to me.
No, I don't remember that at all.
That sounds like something you would say.
I was going to make a break schedule, but we'll just move quickly on. He started sounding like a broken man there.
What?
He sounded like a broken man.
No.
You didn't think he did?
No.
It could be just because he's Swedish.
I think you're reading things into that.
He sounded pretty down to me.
Maybe all Swedes sound like that?
Well, yeah, when I spoke to him early in the year, he was very melancholy.
There you go. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just him. Maybe it's not even all Swedes. Maybe it's just him because Ibra doesn't sound like that.
I'm gonna bring him something from IKEA for next Saturday. We'll get you to take that to him after the game, Steve. Cheer him up.
Built or unbuilt?
Well, the way that he built the squad, I don't fancy him building anything from IKEA very well.
Definitely rebuild it.
But he's 43. He came to MLS with 10 years coaching experience, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Most of it was in Sweden. He did have a 2-year spell in China. He's won 3 cups in Sweden with 2 different teams. He's won the Allsvenskan, which I actually thought was an IKEA table, but it turns out it's the top flight of Swedish football. That was with AIK. But I just thought this was a strange appointment. When San Jose made it, it just seemed really kind of out of the blue. It just seemed a weird one to me. And nothing's happened this year to make me change that opinion. I know you don't make a lot of managerial changes really quickly in MLS. Folk do tend to get a bit of time. But is his job on the line? You have to think so.
If he has and it seems like if they don't really... they're not going to make the playoffs 100%, obviously. They might be even eliminated by now. But right now, they're on a pace for a historically bad, one of the worst seasons in MLS.
Even worse than Whitecaps' inaugural season, I think, possibly.
Possibly. But
was that 21?
Was it as high as that? I don't know.
No, they're at 18.
We'll check that out.
They're at 18 right now.
No, I know, but the Whitecaps that first year were 21.
I can't remember. But they're on pace. If that happens, then they might just let them go.
Well, you saw the crowd yesterday.
They weren't there.
Officially, the crowd was, 16,000 and something? There's no way that they were in the stadium.
Unless they were behind the camera side,
Yeah, because that lovely, biggest outside bar in North America. That's what you want when you're watching a team like San Jose.
Yeah.
You've been there, right? It's across.
I've not been to the new one. I've been to Buckshaw twice. I've not been to...
I've been to Buckshaw once. I've been there once.
I liked Buckshaw.
There was something unique about Buckshaw. I mean, but it did not scream major as in major thing. But there was something nice about it. But this place, it's just across from an airport is not super enjoyable. And these U's, I do not understand why there's any desire to build a stadium as a U. I don't understand why people keep doing this.
It does look smart, though, I think. I think it looks a nice stadium.
It's okay.
I keep hoping that the Caps are going to have a weekend when they're down there and the Niners are at home on the Sunday, but it's not
never worked out
yet.
For you?
No.
Oh.
But yes, Stara, a lot of European managers do come to MLS and they struggle. And it's easy to kind of point that that's maybe...
Or they get released, get released early.
Yes. After, 3 months?
11 games, 12 games.
It's easy to say that that's maybe why Star is failing, but there's definitely other factors in San Jose. But should this be a warning to the Whitecaps when they're looking for a new boss? Because folk have said, go and bring in a...
Wait, what?
I'm sorry to break that to you. I know you're really good friends with Robbo.
What?
But I think you might need to find a new friend next year. But I mean, it's got to be a warning not to focus and go and get a top European manager.
I think I have a new Scandinavian friend already. We'll talk about him later in the show.
Oh, okay, interesting. But whoever comes in, I want them to have some North American, preferably MLS experience. Or do you not feel that matters anymore?
Well, if somebody comes in, you have to put that in there because they never
when
know
somebody comes in.
No, this whole you have to be from MLS to whatever. I think there's been enough guys who've done to me. There's no guarantee either way, right?
Yep.
Like,
I agree with that.
I guess if you've got an assistant that knows the league that can help you out,
you need strong assistants if you're going to
or someone that knows all
the
the rules inside out, like a Greg Anderson type figure that the Whitecaps.
You mean
have
Tommy
got.
Sohn? That's why they brought Tommy Sohn.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get back to the Whitecaps. We've talked enough about San Jose. Robbo said there, and he said on the radio show as well, that the players need to believe that they are good players, and he just doesn't know why they don't. Do you maybe think that's because...
there's a reason I'm giggling and you're about to say it.
Yeah. Do you maybe think that's because he keeps telling them that they lack quality?
Oh, it's not telling them, but he's telling everybody else.
Oh, they're going to hear that. Yeah. I mean, he has said a few times this year that the team lacks quality.
Whether this is a message for somebody that's the reason why they're saying it, he's still
pretty sure it is.
Yeah, but he's still saying it, and no matter what,
they have to play at their levels. They're not as good as these other teams. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah, and the players are human, and they will, even though they're told. They might be told this is a message for somebody else. They're still going to believe it in the back of their mind.
You guys think the players are stupid, apparently, because the players totally understand what that communication is about, and it's about it's the us against the world mentality.
Yeah,
and I think it carries through from the squad and the coaching staff to the FO of you are not using the designated player spots, and the way you're using them is more than questionable.
Yes.
So we don't have some of the types of players that other teams have. It's not as sinister as you're making it sound, or as I don't think it's at all demoralizing to the players the way you're thinking it.
No, and we talked last week. I like the whole us against the world, and it worked really well for Scott Pilgrim. So I mean, if it can work for him, it can work for the Whitecaps.
Good solid movie.
There is no getting away though from the fact that the Caps would be sitting comfortably in the Western standings if they could defend for shit. And they can't. It doesn't matter who's in there. We're sick of talking about this, so we're not going to go into that aspect of it. They've scored the fourth most goals in the West, 43 goals, and they've still got, 8 games to go?
Yeah.
They're on course with the rate that they're going for an all-time scoring record. That's the 7th highest in all MLS for goals. It might not feel like it at times, but I feel the attack is good. But it's the defence that is absolute garbage, and nothing is changing. So we have to score at least 3 goals a game.
But that's where you're wrong. I'm not saying it's good, but something has changed. The goals have increased. The goals for have increased. Unfortunately, the goals against have also increased. We talked about this a lot before. One interesting thing that came up this week, and we don't know how long this is, or this is something that just came out of the blue. And we talked about it in the past. Okay, the makeup of the back line and DMs and keeper this year are different, right? And how does that impact Wasson's partner not being Parker, Osted not being there and not being the verbose yelling person at the back, and then the DM also looking different with Laba going and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that came up this week was all of a sudden, it was a picture of David Osted with a cast on.
Yeah.
And he's had some kind of elbow-ish type surgery.
Out for 6 weeks, I believe it is.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not going to get Hamid's the starter. So
exactly.
He's not getting.
So they brought Bill Hamid in because when they brought Bill Hamid in, everyone was like, "What's going on?" Well, this is what was going on. They were getting ready for David Osted to have surgery. I wonder how long that. I wonder if that was a longer term issue thing.
I don't know. If I was a betting man, which I am, my money is on Osted leaving DC at the end of this season.
Yeah.
And I would put my money on him ending up in Cincinnati.
Oh, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think somebody called that last week.
I wouldn't be surprised. Was that you, Steve?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks very likely. Alan knows him. Maybe even bring Marius in. I don't know.
Palm knows him.
Yeah, it would make complete sense. The defence, though. Henry had his operation this week after his wall punching incident.
Oh, right.
He was never going to make it. Rowesley was touch and go. He shouldn't be touching anything after an operation on his wrist.
Yeah,
and he was never going to be back.
It's unfortunate. I think that probably played a part into why he played so poorly against TFC in the second game.
Yeah.
That it just maybe his pain tolerance was just it wasn't high enough for what he was.
Could be.
Yeah.
The Osted thing, I just wonder. I wonder if they knew. So, I wonder how long this has been an issue.
Oh, the injury.
Yeah,
maybe. I think you've got to give Aaron Mond the start beside Kendall just until he makes a really bad mistake. I mean, Aha should be fit pretty soon, maybe even this weekend.
I don't think he's...
2 weeks ago, he said he was 2 weeks away, so...
No, but I think Mond has been solid. I think that
I'd keep Mond in.
He had that one mistake of the clearance. Other than that, I think he's been it was very good against San Jose.
Yeah, you don't want to... I don't think you want to start Aha like the first game he's ready.
No.
Or the first game
he's against San Jose,
the first game
though.
he's ready. No, but you need to win. I don't think they.
Maybe you can go to Fresno.
They don't start him right away, and like you said, they don't start Danielle right away after surgery either. I think Aha is safe, or not Aha. I think Mond is safe.
Talking about centre backs, got a tweet here from Spiceboy1, who said, "What was Watson thinking with his flying elbow towards the end? Like the one he clattered Mond with. He was also very close to hitting the ball and giving away a penalty." He says, bad enough his follow-through bloodied Mond, he could have given away another penalty, or worse, connected full force into the head of Wando. It did seem quite reckless.
I missed that. I noticed that. I heard about that, but I missed
isn't the Michael McCall response 3 points?
What?
All that matters, they got 3 points. Yeah.
I know. Queen, balls, king. Angus Walker. He says, Felipe is a central midfielder, central attacking midfielder.
Definitely.
He's an option for Reina. You've got to stick with Rusty and Gazal now, maybe even Much when he's fit. If he's fit. Is he ever going to be fit again?
No, if Much was fit, I would even put him with either Tybert and Gazal, because he would be the ideal guy to be that kind of link from front to back. And he can redistribute the ball from the back.
I think, yeah. Whenever Much is ready, whether he can help in these final few games or in the potentially in the playoffs, he could be he could be an ace in the hole kind of thing. But you can't. Again, I don't think you can just throw him in right away. I think you.
No.
Whenever he's ready, you got to bring him in slowly. I would agree with Angus, which I don't often do. I don't think, but I would agree with Angus in terms of you need to go with Gazal, Rusty, and Jordy in front of them.
Yeah. Ooh. The ice cream man has paid us a visit. He also paid a visit to Kai Kamara. Let's see what he likes to lick. So Kai, it's a hot day. We do have these in Vancouver, believe it or not. It's not always raining. What would be your ice cream flavour of choice?
Is it in a cone or in a cup?
Whatever you want.
Okay. If I'm having it on a cone, I'm definitely going with some vanilla ice cream. But if I'm having it in a cup, I might get something with maybe vanilla caramel mixed.
Nice.
Yes.
Ice cream man, ring your bell, play the music I've learned to love so well. Ice cream man, ring your chimes in the afternoon so fine.
Kai Kamara there. Vanilla Caramel, it's one of my favourites as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And was Tim Parker last week?
Yes.
So Tim Parker was on last week talking about going to Dairy Queen. Well, I was getting Orange Julius, and I saw at Dairy Queen they should have just called it the Tim Parker, because it was Reese Peanut Butter Cup with Reese's Pieces and I think caramel for Kai Kamara, all in one blizzard. It's like the blizzard of the month or something.
That sounds quite nice.
Yes.
Let's go there after this. Anyway, Kai Kamara, 6 goals now in his last 7 matches.
Good return.
Rich Reina form.
11 league goals?
I think so.
And he must have 3-4 other cup goals.
And you were hoping, I think at the beginning of the year, I was saying that if he gets about 15, that would be a good, solid return for a year from Kai Kamara.
Yeah, I had him as golden boot winner of all of MLS.
You kind of overbilled.
I think I didn't.
I think you underestimated Josef Martinez.
Yeah.
Has Addy scored in USL yet?
No, but he did start the last game, but didn't score. He seems to be playing. He seems to be enjoying playing well with Reina anyway, which makes you think Reina. He's maybe been misused as a number 10, and a second striker role is really what he should have been the whole time.
Yeah.
We seem to be getting the best out of him now. Kamara this week was provisionally named to the 35-man roster for Sierra Leone's African Nations Cup qualifier. So congrats to him. Also congrats to Ali Ghazal, who was called into Egypt.
The Pharaohs.
Yeah, for the first time in 4 years. And
1,400 plus days.
Yeah. Well, likely lose Kendo as well.
And they got a new coach. That's why it happened, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Are they doing a 35-man roster too, or have they got their roster set down?
I think he's just in. We haven't had the Canadian roster either. So
Kendall, they're playing Japan, and I'm pretty sure Kendall's going.
Yeah.
But I think they're playing. The bad thing is they're playing Japan in Japan.
Yeah, a lot of travel. So last bit for this section. One thing I just wanted to finish up with talking about is there was a lot of transition in the off-season, and a lot of new players were brought in. And in the off-season, you bring these new players in because you're strengthening the team. Look at that starting lineup yesterday. Only 2 of that 11 were the players that were brought in. 1 being Kamara, 1 being Felipe, and Felipe was dreadful and got subbed off. Surely that's part of the Whitecaps' problem. We're not building properly. We're not strengthening properly in the off-season. Even the subs that came on.
Yeah.
It was all guys that's been here before.
Well, Ghazal came at the end of last
but he was
year.
still here. It's not that he was an addition in the off-season. The 4 guys that weren't brought on were the guys that were brought in. So I think we've got to improve in this rebuilding and in our strengthening.
In the retooling, kind of.
It's just it's letting us down big time.
And they need to improve. Like the thing that baffled me maybe it was just a matter of happenstance, where I felt like they were strong at holding midfielder, because we saw Gasol what he did last year. At the end of the year, he was decent. We thought he was a good replacement for Laba.
Yep.
We thought
mention Noza.
We thought Tybert was there, and then obviously one guy was going to. There'll probably be one guy, but then they ended up bringing Juarez, and then Felipe, and then Much, and then they had Norman signed. And we thought he would get some minutes, but he didn't get anything.
He did well pre-season as well.
Yeah,
and got plaudits against LA.
But they're so deep in one position, and that would make it lacking for going forward, because they don't have those attackers going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really, if you want to analyze, you need to go through everyone and whatever. But quickly, I think that even those who brought those players in would look and say, yeah, okay, a number of these people haven't worked out, right? Like when you're bringing in players in that range, it's more hit and miss than the higher you go up, right?
Yeah.
The more you
that's
pay
something
for
we'll
quality.
look at in the next part, recruitment and just what the Whitecaps' mandate should be. But just to wrap this bit up, the win was huge. We're still very much in the playoff hunt, and it might be getting to the stage now where we've got no room for error at all, but we're still there, and that's all you can ask for at this stage of the season, to still be in with a shot at making the playoffs.
That's all you can ask for? Really?
Right now. What would you ask for, Zach?
No.
Actually, let's come to that in part 3. We'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Alphonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I'm just looking for a party. I don't care what music they play. Beer bottle lids
Friends of the show, Art Brute there with their new single, Wham Bang Pow, Let's Rock Out.
Oh, they listen to the show?
Well, I'm friends with Eddie Argos, the lead singer on Facebook,
okay.
so I take that as friends of the show.
Okay.
Plus, we've played 2 of their songs in Wavelength, so anyone that song gets played in Wavelength becomes a friend of the show. Someone else that's a friend of the show, Bobby Lenarduzzi.
Wait, what?
Might not be Zach's friend, but Steve and me like him, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never anything wrong.
I like, genuinely, I've got a lot of time for Bobby, and I know he gets a lot of stick and a lot of abuse, but I don't know how much power Bobby actually has in the grand scheme of things. To me, he's somebody that's like the figurehead, this person that he's the guy that takes the brunt of everything because he's the guy that's speaking to the media all the time.
Yeah, okay.
How responsible is he for the mess the Whitecaps are in?
Okay.
I'm not saying he's completely innocent or blameless.
No, this thing which I've heard you and other people talk about recently of, he really doesn't have. He is the one who brought Greg Kerfoot in. If you got to read, if you haven't, you should read his autobiography.
Oh,
not for the quality, but just for some. There's a couple of tidbits of information in there that are interesting. But no, he's the one who brought Greg Kerfoot in, and Greg Kerfoot is not going anywhere, and will never be a public figure. That's a conversation we could have maybe another time. But
I've got him coming up in the show in the bye week. I don't know what you're talking about. Which basically could be just me doing an impression of somebody, and no one would be any the wiser.
No, but the problem, the problem is people who say he has no power. He is the one who brought these people in, and he is the one who has built a network of people who all they do is protect each other. And that's all I'll say for now. Another time we'll share a deeper story maybe another time of what that has looked like and how that has played out. And that's what they do. Whenever there's a problem, they circle the wagons and make sure each other is safe, and then deflect and put the blame on other people or spread the blame.
Commonplace though in all businesses, and it's like I know from football clubs in the UK where you've got boards of directors and ones that I've dealt with in the past. That's what they do.
Right. So that's
I'm not saying that's right, but
that's only
what
that's
everyone
only
does.
That's only one element. Obviously, their approach. This is to me is I think the bigger thing that has traction with more people is the approach they've chosen to take is not fitting of the football club and is not fitting of what people in the community long for, and they have failed to recognize that or they failed to I think fully acknowledge that, or they've said we know better. And they've proven that they don't know better because they have done such a poor job at actually captivating the ethos of a football club, that it is this community thing. They've treated it like it's ours, we know what we're doing, and you can pay us for it, instead of it being a community thing that people feel a part of. And so all they care about is selling tickets and making money, or not losing money or making money. That's all they care about.
In an ideal world, that is what I want for a football club.
And you'll get in
North America, in MLS, I don't think you can have that when you've got owners. I mean, we paid $35 million, but when you've got these guys coming in playing over $100 million, of course they're going to run it as a business.
No, and that's the great thing. That's all you have for right now. A new dawn is coming.
Yes,
and the Canadian Premier League is a new
I hope to see those clubs exactly what you're saying.
A new opportunity to do things. I think the way football clubs have been set up around the world, obviously I would love that
fan ownership, everything like that. So yeah, Bobby was on TSN Radio on I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday.
It was Wednesday. Yeah.
2 hours for President's Week.
Yeah.
Jeff Mallett hopped on as well, and Steve, you and me thought it was good, entertaining, and we got things out of it. Zach didn't.
I thought there was definitely some information that was.
Zach tweeted it wasn't even worth listening to. Yeah. I honestly disagree with that, because we're very involved with the club, so we're in the loop. We get told lots of stuff. For the average fan, they're going to have heard a lot of stuff on that they're not going to have heard before. People that weren't at the town hall meeting.
People that don't listen to this show.
Yeah. Is there people that don't listen to this show? Well, we don't know because they won't have heard us say this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, what?
I genuinely thought it was a good 2-hour show. I enjoyed it.
Okay. You thought it was good. Okay.
Let's not get into this, please, because we're just going to waste time. Let's talk exactly what he said instead of because we know what your opinion is, Zach.
Right.
We know what our opinion is.
That's fair enough.
Let's not bring that up again. So, first of all, what he talked about Alphonso Davies, He talked about the money is going back into the first team of development. He didn't specify how much.
No, he did kind of confirm that the lump sum up front was $13.5 million.
Yes, and then, as you said, Jeff Mallett hopped on. Now, Jeff Mallett seemed to specify a little bit where he said they're going to see how much they spend on the first team, and then, but they don't want to qualify how much because it might be less on the first team and more on the development once they figure out how much they're going to spend on the. So first team's going to.
There's no way they can put a figure on it because folk like Zach will hold them to that figure.
Yeah. So, but they said it's going to be around a 50-50 split, but it could be give or take a million here, a million there.
To me, is a bit disappointing.
Jeff Mallett did even worse than I think Bobby did on the show. And in fact, Jeff Mallett, I think, said things that Bobby was probably sitting there being like, why are you saying – I didn't write them down, but at the time I was just like, why are you saying some of these things?
Transparency.
No. No, but that's my recollection of Jeff Mallett. He was just spinning and selling, and there was a couple things I was just like, Bobby's probably listening to this being like, Jeff, don't say that.
I don't know. Bobby has said to me in the past, he says things in interviews that when he goes back, they're like, what did you say that for?
Oh, I'm sure.
So, yeah. But yeah, the Davies money, I would like to see more than a 50-50 split. I would like to see 2/3 in the first team, 1/3 on development.
Yeah.
But they did say development could be things like more scouts.
Yeah.
More, like a technical director brought in to oversee all the academies.
Working with more than one agency.
Working with more than one agency. I'm sure we'll come to that in a bit as well. More academies, putting money into that. Bobby said the club hasn't done as well as they would have liked when it comes to developing players. He talked about players being given chances and not grasping them, which I would take umbrage with, but we'll come to that in a sec. But it's good that at least they know that the last 10 years, what they have produced from the residency into first-team players is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good to hear them say that.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to hear them say that, but it's not good that is the end result. For me, it's how they want to do this, because if we're spending, say, 50% of the Davies money on development, they have to get a far better return than they're doing now. And they have to show that they are capable of spending this money to get the return. But spending money in the academy does not guarantee the return. It's what the first team coaches and the whole philosophy of the club do when the players sign to MLS.
But they just gutted the middle of that whole setup.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, and this whole, hey, we're going to have a touring team, that's...
Although I do believe there's a bit of a stumbling block in that the MLS players
union
might not be able to play in this touring team because of the MLS CBA.
Yeah.
So that's something that's getting kind of
worked out. But even
now.
so, that's a bit of like a stopgap or.
Well, it's not ideal at all.
No,
it's a stopgap until I think they can loan players to the CPL.
One thing that I was setting something up. I don't know if you mentioned this, but about the development side of it. He said he did mention when asked that none of this money is going to whatever's been spent before.
Yes.
So he's not paying down any kind of debt or anything. It's going to be new stuff.
Not
that
going
comes
in the
up.
training center and all that stuff. So that's good.
That was important that they said that.
Yeah.
But there's no way that they'll ever be able to prove that because there's no open books, right? Because there's no one will be able to know if they actually do that or not.
That's the thing, because you don't really know what Bayern's given, so you can't break anything up or break anything down. You'll see what's been spent on the first team.
But you know $13.5 million's been given.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm pretty sure
you should be able to see some stuff on the development side.
For example, they could sign a player and say, "Oh, there's a transfer fee undisclosed," so then you don't know how much of that 13.5 has gone to that transfer fee. So it's going to be hard to have clear, transparent expenditure of that.
But you got to think though, in terms of getting more money, they're gonna trumpet it. If they are not, then MLS is going to make them, right? Like if they end up getting the full $22 million because of all the add-ons, that's going to be a story for MLS that MLS is going to say, we don't care if you don't want people to know you got this money. We're telling the world because it's good for us.
Yeah, but the club need to look at what the mandate for the coach is. Whether it's Robbo, whether it's a new coach, whoever is the coach next year, the mandate has to be that they integrate the young players far better than they have just now.
And they will do that as long as they have more top end players. You can't.
We've wasted so many talents.
No, what I'm saying is like what I'm saying.
5 years.
Yeah, well, one of my biggest issues with that is not only that they're not grasping it. Some of these players are playing in positions that they shouldn't be playing in.
Bustos playing out wide.
Fro's playing out wide instead of playing a box to box.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, obviously, and we know that he went on to Oklahoma City, I think this week.
Yeah, scored his first goal.
And scored his first goal. And scored his first goal.
Yeah, took his shirt off.
Playing in the middle.
Ripped.
Playing in the middle near the box, which is where he should be playing, which is where he should have played when he was playing with the Whitecaps.
Backed up by Atiba Harris at center back.
Yeah.
This is a huge conversation that in part we've had elements of it before anyways. Michael, this is part of the problem, is that they say publicly we want to be about developing new players. We obviously want our coaching staff to develop new players. But the reality of the other side of that is if the new coach doesn't win, if any of the coaches in the history of the club don't win, then they don't stay here.
Well, yeah, I mean that is a problem all coaches face because you have to win to keep your job.
No, but
unless this is what I'm talking about, the mandate. So if they bring in a new coach, for argument's sake, let's just say it's a new coach. So they bring the new coach in, they sit Mark DeSantis down, and they say, or whoever, but you sit the new coach down and you say, okay, we want you. This is what I feel they should be doing. We've got Theo Bayer, Michael Baldissimo, Simon Colline, David Norman. We want these guys to get minutes. Yeah, Sean Melvin, even Meyer Bevan. We want these guys to get minutes. We don't want them to get minutes in a team when you're changing 6 players out because it's
all 11 sometimes,
like the Voyagers Cup.
Yeah. What we want you to do is set them up to succeed. So
when you're making 2 or 3 changes and you put them in, or a couple of changes.
For example, like say we had Matty Laba here.
Yeah.
Matty Laba was in. It's like, okay, let's put David Norman beside Matty Laba, so he's beside the best.
Yep.
Let's put Theo Bayer beside Kai Kamara, so he's learning from a veteran.
If you're putting Bustos in there, put Bustos next to Teixeira and next to Davies or something like that, with Kamara in front and a couple of solid center back holding midfielders behind him.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
But they also need to do, like clubs like SKC, Dallas, New York Red Bulls.
That's what they do.
But they have young guys on the bench regularly.
Yeah.
So if they're a couple of goals up or a couple of goals down, they throw them on for 5-10 minutes.
And
they give them that run out and that experience. We've never done that.
Why do we know that they do this? It's because when they come into town and we see who the hell are these players, we have to search them up and we find out they're homegrown players.
Yeah, and you watch a lot of them and the commentators are like, oh, this 16-year-old, he's great in his first start. And you're like, wow.
You okay, so Michael.
That's an ideal world
Michael,
again.
I don't disagree with you at all. But that takes leadership and vision, and
Yes.
that's what they have not. That's what the football committee has not done. Because publicly they've come out and said we want to be about developing new players, but they're like, but if we lose, you lose your job.
But how do you know that for a fact? How do you know that they didn't say to Kyle Robinson this year, we want you to get David Norman minutes, we want you to integrate Simon Colline into the team, and he's chosen not to because he knows his job's on the line.
Go and ask him that on or off the record and see what he says.
Okay.
I don't know for a fact, but I can almost guarantee you that's what he'll say.
That's what they need to do. And, okay, if they haven't done that up to now, this is what they need to sit down with the new coach and say, this is our new vision. It's not all about results for your first year. If you do this and you bring these players along and we don't make the playoffs, but we've done well and we've seen improvement in these guys, you're safe.
Yeah,
that's what they have to tell a coach.
I think there would be a segment of the fans and supporters and whatever that would be okay with that.
Yeah, there would be a segment that
if they knew that's what it is. But see, this is part of the problem with the front office, with the football committee, Michael, is they say things that don't have meaning or aren't fully true. So when they stand up, when Bobby stands up and says, we want to be like Ajax, then they don't do a whole bunch of things that Ajax actually does to be Ajax, right? That's a huge, huge problem. A huge problem, and shows a lack of leadership.
They have to change because they have failed their young guys over the years.
Totally. And
from top down.
Yeah.
Can we go back? I know you mentioned it before, and we have discussed this in the past before. But when you look at the players who have come through the residency program, there are so many of them, as you mentioned, Michael, who were top talents at their age level, and the fact that they failed to make the breakthrough here is sad and shocking.
And it's not all down to the club, because some of them, like Caleb Clark, he's now at UBC. I watched him on Friday night. Looks a shadow of what he was when he was playing against youth.
But the problem is there obviously are outside mitigating circumstances there, and then he just couldn't get on track after that. Once you kind of slow your developing, you can't just put it back on pace.
That is the problem with
But there are also lots of guys who are they're still fighting.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys, like for example, I think the two best examples of success, and I know one left because he wanted to leave, and actually both want to go to Europe. Sam Adekugbe, he played left back, his natural position, and Alphonso Davies, who played wing, his natural position. Other players like Russell Tybert haven't been able to find it because they keep switching him around all the time. You need to get some kind
Russell
of
Tybert was a guy who played behind a striker or two as an attacking midfielder when he was in the residency. But no, I agree with you. There are you talk about guys who want to leave or whatever who've still made, like Simon Thomas has gone and made some, like, made a really good go of things for himself in where is it now? Norway. He's in now. So. And
Stenesi's still out there. I know. I don't know what his. I don't know. Center backs develop a little bit later, and so he's still got time to develop.
He's lowered it, but when you look at the tenure of the residency program, it is an utter failure for what has been invested, but also for the talents that came through it.
But even if you look at who's signed deals this year, like Sean Melvin, it was great to see him having an MLS deal, but he has to play.
Yeah. Wait. The homegrown game doesn't count, Michael, do you?
No.
Sorry,
the half that he had. And David Norman, we saw him briefly in the Canadian Championship, and it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Hearing a really weird buzzing from, I don't know if it's coming through or not, just as a
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay.
I think it's
just my headphones.
You're buzzing, Michael.
One thing that we won't see that was confirmed is, seemed like it was confirmed, was no aging DPs.
Yes.
We're not going to get older guys on the team. Now, I think if it was a player, and I don't think these guys would come here, if it was a player like we're talking about Ibra, Rooney or something, if it was a player like that where they could be a difference maker, then you would bring them in. But I agree that you don't want to bring in somebody that's really old and not able to play anymore.
I want to commend the Price and Sekeres. I thought the first hour felt a little bit not great. The second hour, I thought they asked better questions. One area which I felt they was a bit of a setup to fail was that whole poll question they had.
Yeah, that's
why would you use the term aging star?
Yeah.
Like it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the vote wasn't even worse against that.
Yeah.
But if you want to say like
dynamic,
would you have said at 32 even Rooney or Golden Balls were like, crazy past it?
Yeah, it's like, what do you class as aging?
Exactly.
Because some players go on 36, 38 and they're doing really well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how...
That was a weird question, though.
Yeah.
I genuinely do think, though, that there is a lot of people in this city that would love a big name. Somebody that they recognise from the TV. They've maybe seen them in the Premiership or Serie A or Bundesliga or the World Cup or the Euros. It's like, I recognise that guy. It doesn't have to be an Asian guy. There's so many countries that you could look at. San Jose is maybe not a good example because they went for an Albanian and a Georgian, but I mean, you've got Polish players, you've got Austrian guys. Look at Royer that's come into New York Red Bulls, and he loves playing at New York. You can see that.
Yeah, and he's not a German.
No,
I found out.
And David Villa, I was going to talk about this when we did the MLS thing.
He is a good signing.
He loves playing for New York City. When he scored that equaliser against Red Bulls midweek, that seemed genuine passion from him.
And he came here, like 32?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone like that.
But the problem is I don't, and I know Bobby mentioned this later, but I don't, and he thinks it's not a big deal, but I think turf, these players do not want to come.
I agree. I mean,
they don't want to play half a season on turf. And if you think of
brushed it off, but
I think that's a big issue. And
look, Jordan Much is a prime example.
They know it's an issue. We've talked about this in the past. They know it's an issue because they will find their own players if they speak out against the turf. The Whitecaps.
I don't understand why. Why not use that as an excuse not to sign somebody? That would be a perfect one. But I guess they don't want to upset BC Place.
No, but if they were honest and they came out and said, okay, we can't sign these guys because they won't play in turf, and we can't do anything with the turf.
One of the things I missed to say this about the young players. One of the things that to me was a little bit maybe offside's a bit strong, but the way the way that Bobby talked about, I know there's a lot of guys who've liked to talk about the entitlement of some of the young players and how they didn't want it enough or whatever. All I know is Sam Adekugbe was not happy.
Yeah,
with,
he didn't like that comment.
But I think that was I personally. My opinion is I don't think that they were talking when he said that comment. I think he was more talking about Froze and Bustos.
Okay,
and Adekugbe just happened to be the question at that point.
Yeah. But I think when he says, "Oh, I wish it was like the old days when the young players had to walk in and shine your boots," shows a little bit of ignorance of the current player culture.
Yeah, but I actually agree with him because that is the problem. So many players feel, okay, I've done it at residency level or academy level, not necessarily just Whitecaps, and they feel that they're owed something and they want to progress faster than they're maybe ready or capable for. And I that does annoy me. I'm not specifically picking
but at the
players,
same time, like you just said, players who they say they gave a chance to, they never really gave a chance
no,
to.
I agree with that as well.
So it's not a...
No.
And to me,
Sam got a chance, but he did get injured.
Yeah.
And that kind of derailed him. And then Jordan Harvey came back playing out of his skin. So that was tough. Keane's froze. There was a whole load of other things that had happened off the pitch from things that Robbo's told us. So we won't go into that just now.
That'll come out in the AFTN book eventually in 5-10 years.
But we've got 4 or 5 minutes of this segment left, so I just want to rattle through.
No aging DPs, but he did kind of mention that there's a possibility for 3 DPs to come in.
He said definite possibility, but there was a very strange long pause, and then Sekerson Price kind of gave an awkward laugh and then moved on very quickly. So I don't know what was going on there, but we talked last week on the show. I've been told there's going to be 3 DPs coming in,
maybe
difference makers.
So this is what's happening though. Seriously, this is what's happening right now. He has to say that. They have their ticketing and their fan services people telling this to people. Oh, you don't like the coach? Don't worry, we'll call you back soon. Oh, don't worry, next year we're going to have 3 DPs or whatever. We have 3 DPs. They're not going to be crazy money DPs. They're not going to be Toronto DPs, but don't worry, we're going to have DPs. This is what they're telling because they can't lose their season ticket holders. It's all about, this is a collective message within the front office.
Yeah. Now, there was a little bit of chat about the manager and the assistant's future. After another long pause, Bobby said an extended playoff run would be great when asked what it would take for Robbo to save his job.
He didn't laugh it off like he did with Hart last year.
No. I think things have changed since that chat last year. He did confirm, though, that 2 of the assistants, that their contracts are not renewed yet. They wanted them renewed now, but they're going to talk.
They wanted to
enter
into negotiations about them.
Yes. But they want to talk at the end of the season, which I feel is quite right. I don't think you can commit to that now. And to ask for it now seems ridiculous.
There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with asking for it. And Bobby even said that there's nothing wrong with them asking for it. But they said that in normal circumstances, when you're not at the top of the league,
I know you want stability.
But you're not at the top of the league. You're kind of middling. You don't want to be committing to people at this point.
Okay, there's a couple of things here. One, in the football world, with players and with coaches, in the last 6 months of your deal, if you don't have another deal, it's totally normal for negotiations to happen or for a new deal to be done. 2, there's a history here. This is not happening in a vacuum. There's a context. There's a precedent set for this. And Carl Robinson knows better than anyone because when they weren't bringing back Martin Rennie, the same thing happened. The assistant coaches were not their contracts. They were told or whatever. They knew their contracts weren't being renewed. You talked about this, I think, in an article and on the show back in the day.
Robbo was in a hotel in Surrey.
Robbo was living in a hotel in Surrey.
Why would they sign assistants when they haven't decided on the coach?
Yeah,
you can't force assistants on a coach.
No, what I'm saying
if
is
they're planning on getting rid of Robbo, you can't extend the assistants.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Is this shows their hand. This shows what they're doing.
Unless they make a long run, and then they have to because he said that he goes extended playoff
run.
No.
He didn't say they have to.
I
don't think anything.
One thing is that they. It seemed like the next night. You guys probably didn't listen to this. The next day, Luke Wildman was on in the morning.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Yes,
yeah.
and right off the bat, the host of the show, John Abbott, said Bobby Lenarduzzi last night said the assistant coaches aren't coming back. That's what John Abbott said, and Luke Wildman reiterated that too when he started talking about it. He goes, "Well, how can Robo do it when the assistant coaches aren't coming back?"
Yeah,
Bobby never said that.
No.
So the people at the radio station are saying it themselves, that they're totally misconstruing. And if they're saying that, obviously the average listeners that are listening
well,
to it.
Something we never talked about last week, and just quickly do this, and then we'll maybe wrap this segment up. But TSN. During the TFC game, they mentioned several times about the assistant's contracts not getting renewed. But the interview that they did with Russell Teibert after the game, for me, was totally out of order and crossed the line. You do not put a player on the spot like that by asking about the coaching staff's future.
Why not? You just lost the cup final. You're in the run-in for the playoffs. This not when you don't know if your job is secure, it impacts you at work, right?
But why would you ask a player about the
because
coaches?
then it impacts the players on the field. So why would you not ask that?
That totally crosses a line. You can't put a player on the spot like that. What are you expecting the player to say?
Whatever he thinks.
Okay, right. So say Russell didn't
aren't
like
you
Robbo.
Aren't you the guy who says, "Hey, we want more honest, meaningful answers from players about meaningful things"?
But say Teibert didn't like Robbo, and he comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I hope he's not going to go. I hope he's gone because he's not going to play again this year." It's not a fair position to put a player in. I just thought that was completely out of order. Last thing, Bobby said or was asked, "Is this the biggest off-season in the club's MLS history?" He obviously said every off-season is the biggest one, but he did say it's a great opportunity for the club. They need to find a way to concede less goals and the money and everything.
Yeah.
And you have to agree, for me, this is a massive off-season and a massive chance to shape and publicly make aware of what the direction of this club is and to set a new identity.
So to that about the goal, giving a goal things, that was one of the awkward things that Mallet said. Mallet was like, "Yeah, we need to invest more in keeping the ball out of the back of our net." When they are a club who spends, I think, more than most clubs on the defensive side of things.
They just need to invest in better players. Anyway, we'll be back with some MLS chat after this.
Hey, it's Marco Bustos. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio. So what was that song, Steve?
That was the theme song from Buckaroo Banzai. Sorry, messed up the name.
That's a TV show?
No, it was a movie.
It's a movie.
Hey,
yeah, from the 80s.
Don't make Steve mess up names.
It starred Peter Weller.
I don't know who that is. I know who
Peter
Weller. Doctor Who. Is it Peter Weller or something like that?
No, there's not.
Who is the gray-haired?
I'm thinking of Peter Sellers. Sorry,
Who's the last Doctor?
The gray-haired one.
The Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Maybe it was Peter Capaldi then. I'm confused. No, wait, Peter Weller is the RoboCop. Sorry.
Right.
I'm getting names all over the place. Okay, forget it.
Or Paul Weller from The Jam.
I'm going to find out right now.
Who wrote Away from the Numbers, which all this is named after. See, it's all come around to a good thing.
Yes.
So we're going to look at MLS in this part. We had so much more we were going to talk about in that last part, but we kind of want to move on. We were going to talk about some of the players that Bobby mentioned that folk were linked with.
We can talk about that.
Jonathan David, who was never going to come here if he's lighting it up in Europe, but that's a whole other thing. We were going to talk about the whole base thing as well.
So it was, sorry,
or maybe
it was Peter Weller. He started a RoboCop as well.
What about Bella Emberg? Did you look into her after last week?
I'm not looking her up.
Okay. Anyway, so we'll look into base and things as the season moves on because they want to get our facts right.
Yeah, you want to get them more. You want to be right, not first.
Yeah, but talking about being right and not first, the Whitecaps in MLS.
I don't know. Are they right?
No, I was trying to get a link. That was,
I know.
that was
a decent try to segue.
Yeah. We'd usually look at the MLS West just in this segment, but I want to look at some stuff that happened elsewhere because it was rivalry week. That's why we're playing San Jose, our biggest rivals, going back to the NASL days.
Now, they could have fixed this. I'm going to go quickly on this, a quick fix. All they had to do was have Portland play twice this week and have San Jose or LA play, one of the LA teams play twice. Because New York did this. New York played NYCFC in midweek, and then they played DC United on Sunday.
Yeah.
So they could have easily done where Vancouver played Portland midweek, and then they Portland played Seattle or something like that. There was a way to fix it.
Should we tell Steve that MLS doesn't care?
Yeah, I know. But San Jose should have...
I was going to tell him that you shouldn't have a Cascadia derby midweek, but...
But San Jose should have played LA Galaxy. That's what I mean. Like they should, because they have a rivalry with them.
Yeah.
Steve, should we tell Michael that MLS loves to put the Cascadia derbies midweek?
Yeah, but they shouldn't. Right. The Caps 3 points, though, against San Jose moved them up to 7th temporarily. They're now down to 8th after today's games again.
But just very tight.
Well, it's tighter than a gnat's chuff.
Okay.
They're a point behind Seattle in 5th, who have a game in hand on us, and a point behind the Galaxy in 6th, who have played one more game than us. Portland's now 7th, level in points with us, but they've got 2 games in hand. So we're still very much in this. We're alive. We're like Gordon. And Gordon's alive! Flash Gordon?
No, I don't remember that part. I do remember the movie.
That's a very famous thing with Brian Blessed. Gordon's alive!
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Now, but they do have, the Vancouver does have a game in hand on RSL.
Yes. RSL are doing well, which
but they're only 4 points off RSL's record at this point. They have a game in hand on the Galaxy, and they're only a point behind them. So I know you got games.
And we've still got to play the Galaxy.
Exactly. So
in LA though.
But
That means Latin will play because it's not on turf.
Yeah, but they're still. You never know. They might have another stinker.
But rivalry week, as we talked about in the last part, it kicked off with the New York Derby. 2 sending offs for Cité. It was an entertaining game. I enjoyed it. I liked it when it was like 6 and 7 goals to New York Red Bulls, but
it was Ray Phillips and what's his face, David Villa. Right?
But I thought it was good. And then Chicago and Columbus played out a 1-1 draw on Thursday, but only 8,500 fans turned up to watch that.
Well, that was I don't think actually that many turned.
I think when you treat your fans like shit, which is basically what Chicago have been doing this year. Doesn't matter if you've signed a big guy like Bastian Schweinsteiger.
No.
Fans are just going to not turn up.
And the thing is, they were, if I'm not mistaken, they were a preseason favorite to be in the top 4 or something like that. So,
I mean, they're one of the teams that, I mean, if you talk about coaches possibly having their jobs on the line.
Do you ever talk about that?
Sometimes I do. Pavlovic at Chicago, you can't see him back next year. He must know that as well, but I think it's worrying when you see what's happening to Columbus moving to Austin. If clubs like Chicago are drawing that poorly, you've got to fear for the future when you've got
Chicago,
teams like...
Chicago is still
but you've got
major
teams like Detroit close by, so you've still got that market area.
Don't see Chicago ever moving. They're not going to... That's a major media market. They're not going to move out of there.
I mean, one of the problems in Chicago is the stadium is so far away.
Yeah.
Well, another game, Houston to Texas, talking about Austin.
Yes.
Houston
Texas
and Dallas.
Derby.
Houston and Dallas.
1-1. 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. Wasn't a fantastic game, but looked like Dallas had won that. Houston's
nicked it back.
Out of it now, though, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. But Friday saw the big story of the weekend, you could argue.
But nobody talked about it.
No. It's because he's not American.
Okay.
Joseph Martinez set the single-season scoring record with 28 in the 2-1 win for Atlanta over Orlando. Still got 8 games left.
Who held the previous record?
Oh, there's a few of them.
Three-way tie. Brett Phillips, Roy Lassiter, and what's his name?
I want to say Stern John.
No, it was Bradley Phillips.
You said him.
Yeah, you said
Wando.
Wando.
Yeah.
He's going to definitely hit 30, you would have to say. Can he hit 40?
No.
Well, look how many hat tricks he gets.
Okay, did you see the highlights from this game or watch the game? Okay. I know for some reason, because they're Orlando, I guess, but they love Joe Bendick there or whatever.
Yeah.
They think he's so great when I think he's just an average MLS keeper. And did you see the opening goal?
Yes.
What a howler. What a shocker.
Yeah. Orlando's goal was good, though. It was really well taken.
Yeah,
Martinez had a couple of chances as well to get more than the one that he did. But
I don't know. I don't know why or what all happened. But do you see his goal is great? His little chip over the keeper, and then as he's running to celebrate, he said something to Bendik on the ground.
Yes. I'd love to know what he said.
Yeah, that was awesome.
For like, hey, you've made history.
and then he got a yellow card for taking off. That was.
I think he had number 28 or something on the inside of it or something because he was showing that or something. Possibly. I don't know.
That'd be good. Then Friday night, the other game, it was the LA Derby. 1-1 draw. Zlatan got the opener, but needed VAR to confirm it.
Well, if
a good use of VAR.
Yeah, he was adamant.
But if they had goal line technology, would he need VAR?
Which I thought we did.
No, we didn't.
I thought they did too. Actually.
No, they don't.
That's too expensive.
Gather that now, but yeah, I thought we did.
They have to fit in all the stadiums if they do, and we don't want to do it in Columbus right now.
LAFC tied it up with a penalty after Vela was brought down, and we could have done with a win for the Goats. We need the top three to run away and basically win all the remaining games against the teams that we're in and around. So Galaxy, though, no wins in 5 now. 3 of them were draws.
That's
but
not good enough. 3 points out of 15 possible?
Are they going to implode? It's like...
Oh, they could. There's still nothing. Number of games they could still turn around.
Yeah, it might be the team that we're chasing.
But their biggest issue is that their back line is horrendous.
Yeah,
like they give up a lot of goals. They give up the 5 to Seattle. I thought.
Can't wait for the Caps game down there. It's going to be like 6-5.
You going down?
No, just want to see an 11-goal thriller. It's bound to be that. Saturday, of course, we had our big rivalry game with the Quakes. Whatever happened to that Heritage Cup that they wanted to...
I don't know. The Cascadia sides just laughed it off. Yeah.
But it started off with the Canadian derby. We'll talk about that. It's not the West. But TFC, Montreal.
I PVR'd the game. Again, I had this wedding and whatever. So
you don't need to PVR. They show it every couple hours.
Yeah. I PVR'd the game, but I turned on and Sportsnet was like, oh, and the Canadian derby, whatever. And they're like... TFC.
They called it the Canadian Classic or something like that on TFC.
La Classique or something. Yeah. So, anyways, they were just like, "Oh, Toronto's trying to make the playoffs, but will Montreal with a team to keep them out?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I watched the game and I was like, "Oh shoot."
Well, TFC looked comfortable.
Yeah, but they're not comfortable in the standings.
No, Montreal had a goal ruled out, which would have made it 3-2. I think that could have really turned the tide because they were like piling it on by that point, and I expected more from them in the second half, and they didn't do it. I hate to say it, but TFC do look like they're kind of finding the form of last year, and they're kind of getting back into it. They still need a lot of help to make the playoffs, so Montreal keep that 6th spot for now. TFC, though, are 6 behind with 2 games in hand, so technically could draw level. But you've got New England 4 behind with 2 in hand as well.
And they lost to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and TC, who lost today 1-0 to Red Bulls, are 6 behind, but they've 4 games in hand.
And I think they're the team that looked the dangerous to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
DC.
Oh, yeah.
Because
of all the home games.
Yeah, they lost today. That was an away game today.
Yes.
But they, like I said, they have so many home games. They have 4 in hand. Obviously, they have to win those in order to make up. But
TFC are also confident.
That also means they have a lot of fixture congestion in these last 2 months more than everybody else. So that's going to be a stepping point too.
So question for you both. Do you see TFC making it?
I see they're capable of doing it, but I don't know. I don't think so.
I've said from the beginning, even after their bad run, that they're going to make it. I still think they're going to make it, unfortunately. I think.
I didn't until probably last week, and now I'm starting to think they will. If we can go there and beat them, which might be a tall order after the recent game, but if we can, that would be great. If that was the defeat that kind of completely derailed them.
There would be some enjoyment, I'm sure, for people.
I'd certainly enjoy that.
Now, the remaining 3 games were all Western Conference games.
Yes.
Teams
well, at least what we're going to talk about,
yeah. Kansas City, Minnesota, 2-0.
Yeah,
win
not
for
a lot
Kansas
to
City.
see there.
No
at halftime. Crozet and Rubio in second half.
Yeah, the one thing, the first goal, again, it was just another example of Minnesota's defense with just like ginormous, like you could drive cars.
There's some
monster trucks through their
defenses though in the league this year. Sadly, we're one of them, but there are some really, really
like the
poor
positioning
ones.
and the spacing was so terrible.
Well, the opposite's KC. That was 4 clean sheets in a row, I think, for KC.
What's a clean sheet?
I still meant to look that up after last week. 11 on the season.
Is there a space between clean sheet, or is it one word or 2 words?
Yeah, I write it
Steve,
here.
how do you pronounce clean sheet?
I write it here with a space, but in the UK I would do it as 1. Anyway,
now the big game, the one that we had our eyeballs
someone
on.
that didn't keep a clean sheet.
No,
Colorado.
Yes,
they shot the bed. Dirty sheets.
And I gave you an option to have some fun.
Well, they had 2 sendings off, didn't they?
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah,
6-0. The RSLers, anyway, RSL, they beat Colorado 6-0.
Who have been on good form, Colorado, coming into this game. They've been on a decent run.
But they're still
Colorado.
They are dreadful, and their defence is one of these dreadful defences.
They're the San Jose of the Rocky Mountains.
5 different scorers for RSL. Nicky Johnson got sent off in the night. No, yeah, Nicky Jackson got sent off. Not Nick Jackson from the Young Bucks.
No.
He got sent off in the 9th minute.
Well, it was already 1-0.
Yeah. Cheeky little headbutt.
Yeah, I know.
First MLS start.
You think, why would you do that with VAR? But you don't even need that, because I think the referee saw that right off and didn't even look at VAR. He just gave him a red card.
Absolute idiot. And then they went 2-0 up, and then Bismarck sank them. The sinking of the Bismarck. Bismarck Boateng.
That was horrible.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
He didn't make any attempt to get the
high
ball.
into the flesh.
Yeah. Ball and player way past him.
And that was just before the half, too.
Yeah.
It was 2 or 3? It was 2-0.
It was 2 at that point.
Yeah.
And then 4 goals in the second half.
Yeah.
Savarino's was the best of the night. His second and RSL's third. I like that one. RSL now, 1 loss in the last 7. So they are flying.
A lot of ties in there, too.
How bad does everyone feel for Tim Howard?
Not much.
I actually did feel a little bit for him last night because his defense is dreadful.
I gave him the opportunity to say 5 past Tim Howard.
You asked me at a bad time, Steve.
I'm sorry. Like I said on Twitter, I thought anytime you ask what time is it, it takes precedence over anything.
What were you doing?
Because the Whitecaps were getting beat 2-0 at that time.
Right.
He asked me what time it was. It's like, not a good time. The Whitecaps are getting beat 2-0, and a team that we can catch has just hit 6 past Colorado.
It was 5 past at the time.
Yeah. So not a great time. Don't ask me that question.
5 past Tim Howard would be classic.
Yeah, I was waiting for the tweet back.
We'll do it now.
I didn't expect that.
6 past Tim Howard.
See, I don't tweet at him anymore when I usually text him because I'm worried maybe he's not watching.
It still spoils it. If anyone says, what time is it and such a thing, I know someone scored 5 goals.
Well, I did. That's what I did when you were the working coach.
I didn't assume you were going to watch RSL in Colorado game.
Hey, speaking of games, Steve, old games, Steve, did you enjoy watching the second leg of the Voyagers?
I haven't caught it, so let's not talk about it.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Trophy is lifted. The crowd at the Rocky Mountain Cup was announced at just under 17,000. It looked horrendous. That did not look like 17,000.
And the cup was presented.
Mm-hmm.
I think they counted the empty seats as attendance.
A club wouldn't do that, would they? No. Anyway, today it was the big Cascadian Derby.
Not so big.
The proper Cascadian Derby. No, not biting on that? Okay. It wasn't a classic. There's a little bit of niggle. A few kicks here and there. Few folks squaring up to each other, a couple of bookings. Looked like it was going to be 0-0.
Everyone was hoping in Upper Cascadia. They were hoping for a 0-0.
That would have been so good, both for the Cascadian standings and the MLS standings. But an own goal decided it. Cascanti, he looked distraught after it, almost in tears.
Of course.
Yeah, but after that, the last 50 minutes were actually quite enjoyable. Up to that, it wasn't really much at all, but it was a bit end-to-end. They were going for it. Seattle have moved into the playoff places. Briefly were there and then got kicked out last week. They're up to 5th. They've got 7 straight wins, and they're undefeated in 10. Portland, though, have started their new streak, as we keep talking about. We started it. You're welcome, Portland. 4 straight losses. 15 without a loss before that. So bizarre that you can just go from being that strong to then all of a sudden going on 4 losses. But they've got those games in hand. If they blow those games in hand, because they're not easy, they've got LA Galaxy. They've got TFC coming up on Wednesday, who's fighting for points.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. As much as I don't want TFC to make it, I'd love them to win down in Portland. horrible.
Yeah, it's a
First
horrible
world
feeling.
problems, I know,
Yeah.
but horrible.
The interesting thing now is that the September 15th home match for Vancouver with Seattle becomes the Cascadia Cup final.
Yes.
So if
Massive.
Seattle wins that, they win this year's Cascadia Cup.
So essentially, that's whoever wins that can win it, right?
No, everyone's still in it.
Everyone's still in it.
Yeah, because it's 6-3-3.
Because we still got to play Portland in the last game.
So
of the season.
if Vancouver beats Seattle, and then Portland beats Vancouver, it's a 3-way tie for 6 points.
But then goal differential obviously.
Wouldn't you love it if it got to the last game of the season and we had to beat Portland for the Cascadia Cup and to get into the playoffs?
That would be.
Could your hearts take that?
I think.
Would they open the upper bowl?
Well, I think I sent you a text about this already, but yeah, they won't open the upper bowl, but it would be interesting.
Anyway, we'll be back with more chat after this.
Hi, I'm Jake Nowinski, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. Zach's staring at his phone, so.
Sorry, it's wavelength, right?
We haven't got to wavelength yet, though. But yes,
it is wavelength.
It is wavelength
That's right.
time. And need to put out a warning before this. If you're listening to this at school, in your office.
Not back in.
I don't know anything about schools. But if you're listening to this in your office, or if you're not listening to this in a safe environment, this song does include swearing. So this is your warning. Do not be offended.
And if you want to skip this part, normally you obviously don't want to, but if you want to skip it because of the swearing, there is markers in the description, and you could skip to the point you want to.
Yes, you could do. But you don't want to, because this is the last song from Football Violence Awareness Month.
It's pivotal. It's the climax.
I don't know about you guys. The month has flown by for me.
I think it started in February.
Yeah. Thankfully, it is a biannual event, so we'll bring it back soon.
Are we, Steve? You and I are still in the condemn, and Michael's in the condone. Yeah.
Although we're not sure.
I'm sure we're going to talk about the inebriati probably in the BC headline, so this is maybe fitting. This is a song from 2005 from a group we actually featured 2 weeks ago, Argy Bargy, but we're going to play another one from them. From their album 100% Thug Rock, and this is simply called Hooligans Heaven. Argy Bargy there from 2005 with Hooligans Heaven.
Yeah.
Wrapping up football.
What a way to go
Celebrate.
out.
Oh,
What a way.
Wonderful. So keep your ribbons. We'll be doing this again soon. We'll probably put a statement or something out when we're going to do it.
Ribbons?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you not get your ribbon?
No, I missed it.
Ah.
I didn't see your statement.
You put it right in someone else's heart. Anyway, now it's time for BC's Soccer Web headlines. BC's Soccer Web headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for news, reviews, links, articles, everything you could ask for from the world of football. Make it part of your daily routine, morning and night. Check out bcsoccerweb.com. What's been catching your eye on the site this week, Steve?
A couple of follow-ups from earlier, especially quite a bit earlier when we were talking about the trial that was going on. An ex-BC Brazilian soccer boss has got 4 years in prison because of the trial. Is Jose Maria Marin. He's 86 years old. He was former president of, like I said, of the Brazil Soccer Federation. He's being asked to forfeit $3.3 million and pay a $1.2 million fine in its connection with the participation in a scheme to accept bribes in exchange for the media and marketing rights to various soccer tournaments,
including 2014, or
I think so. Yeah, that included with that. And then so he's asked. I think the government wanted 10 years. The defense was asking for 13 months. He has admitted to his wrongdoing. So there is something there. I guess that was in a way to get his sentence reduced by admitting to the fault.
I mean, 4 years for an 86-year-old. It reminds me of Steve when he has to read out a guy with a foreign name.
Yeah.
Struggles to get to the end of the sentence.
I did
like
well on
Jose
this one.
Maria Marin.
I did well on that one. Jeffrey Webb, way to go. Former CONCACAF president. He was arrested in the same raids. He's pleaded guilty. But he's asked to have the sentence postponed. It's been
again
several times. He was due in court for September 7th, so we'll see how it goes there. We'll go back to Nigeria.
Can you just ask to get your sentence postponed? I'm not ready to go to jail yet.
You can.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
you can
say, yeah.
You have some more things to tie up or whatever, personal matters. FIFA is lifted their threat to suspend Nigeria from World Soccer.
That might be only for non-violent crimes.
Okay.
So they have lifted that threat. They have gotten assurances now from Nigeria Soccer Federation that the correct people are in power. So hopefully this is the last update I have to do with that one. Now,
but from one government crisis to another.
Yeah, Uruguayan government is. The FA is in crisis. It's basically Wilmer Valdez last month had to step down due to release of some compromising audio recordings.
What do you say, Steve?
I'm not sure.
No one knows.
They didn't go to specifics. It was just the day before he was about to. Yeah.
Was he telling Christian Teixeira to dive in the box at the end
Nicholas
of matches?
Ladero. But he was due to stand for re-election second term. They're basically the FA is taking over, they call it normalization, and they say the mandate of the normalization committee will end on February 28th when they probably hold their new elections.
Michael, what's up with the AFTN normalization committee?
Well, I'm trying to get folk normalised to my way of thinking.
Lazio.
Does that mean we have to have September Football Violence Awareness Month? Because I do have some more songs.
Well, we got Lazio in the news.
Okay. That's very fitting.
They basically, the Ultras want no women in their sacred space of the stadium's trenches. It's the Curva Nord.
Yeah. You can't trust these Curva guys.
They basically handed out pamphlets. The pamphlets read, I'll read the one. the first few rows,
first 10.
Well, yeah,
His translation of Italian superb.
First few rows, as always, have been experienced like the trenches. In the trenches, we do not allow women, wives, and girlfriends, which wives and girlfriends I'm assuming are women, so I don't know why you have to go specific like that. So we invite them to position themselves from the 10th row back. There are apparently now disciplinary proceedings going to be opened against Lazio for those flyers being distributed.
Not for the contents, just because they gave out flyers.
No, the club has said that they basically said that they don't agree with this, that this are few people as opposed to
it's irreducibly. Yeah, and so it was signed by like their main leader or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently there's, I think, some, I don't know if they're newly formed or whatever, Lazio female supporters that are planning to fight this.
Getting to some MLS expansion talk. Nashville, as we know, was approved for a MLS stadium or MLS franchise. Sorry,
still don't agree with that, but okay.
But the council, this is a subcommittee, they've rejected parts of the deal that would allow the build of the stadium. A couple things about there's a 10-acre subplot that they want to develop for additional stuff that the ownership wants to develop it for their own stuff, tearing down some of the stuff that they want to tear down in order to build that. So they are. This doesn't mean that the major council, the city council, will disapprove of this, but it does kind of put it in a murky waters. It doesn't. Like I said, it's not a bad thing, but right now it's kind of put a wrench in their plans.
Well, basically,
they have somewhere else to play though if they don't get this.
Yeah, well, aren't they going to play out of the
So
they have a football stadium.
It's just going to delay
American
it for
football
a little
stadium.
bit.
But basically, they want a lot of public money, right, Steve?
Yeah.
And so they're not going to get it, which is not.
Which I agree with.
Yeah, just not a terrible thing.
So news from Canada. A couple things here. Pacific FC have named Michael Selberbauer,
my new Scandinavian friend.
That's who you were talking about. Okay.
As their team's first head coach. He's been capped 25 times for Denmark, including Euro 2012. I think he was playing. He's currently the top assistant at FC Lucerne in the top Swiss league. He's there till the end of the calendar year. And then he kind of sees Canada as a land of untapped potential for soccer. One of the things is he will be assisted by former residency coach James Merriman, which was mentioned on the radio show.
That was funny.
I like James.
That was funny on the radio show. And they're like, "Oh, you lost the residency coach." He's like, "Oh, Adam Day."
Yeah,
yeah.
They're like, "No,
you're having a nice Adams departure."
Yeah, like no, another one.
No, but it was okay. Forget about that part. But what do you guys think about that appointment? Not a Canadian?
No, I'll be honest. I was very surprised because I thought the mandate was it was going to be Canadian coaches.
Now, I'm assuming that he's a former teammate of Josh Simpson.
Yes,
somewhere
he is.
in there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm not saying it's a bad appointment. I was just surprised because they have pushed this whole Canadians for Canadians.
Is James Merriman from the island or did he spend time there?
His dad's got a long history on the island.
So that's good. Obviously, with the Canadian Premier League, they want to create as many opportunities for Canadians. I think, though, having looked at the other appointments, this one seems refreshing and a little bit different and a little bit outside the box of what kind of has been set up. So I hope for Pacific's sake that that'll be a good thing, a different tactical approach, a different way of doing things. At the same time, it's great to have a local person who has done a lot of work with young players and is respected in the youth coaching community for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, I mean James Merriman, he did well with the Caps under 15s last year, won the championship with them. He was very highly thought of by the Whitecaps as well.
Yeah.
So they've now lost him and the under 17 head coach and Adam Day.
Well, we don't
and Pamuduka.
But then, like they said like Bobby said that these are all good opportunities for them.
Oh yeah,
and so
totally. It's
not like they're leaving. And they mentioned Celebrini. Celebrini is going to a high end, the championship #1 team in a bigger league. So like you would move to San Francisco in a second if you could.
Oh, definitely. I was hoping to win MLS at an office there, then they shut it down.
So we'll talk about the CPL there. The CPL obviously might be able to gain some new supporters in Ontario because TFC has terminated the Inebriates, I think that's how we pronounce it.
For Football Violence Awareness Month.
For supporters group status, and they've actually, the individual people aren't allowed in the south stands until they've completed some kind of MLS course or something.
That's normal.
Like that.
That's normal. You're not familiar with that?
No,
they have to pay $250.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Rollins.
Yeah.
If Dwayne Johnson tweeted this out, that would have been superb. But Dwayne Rollins had tweeted out what the actual thing is to have to do. A lot of it is like about alcohol abuse.
Yeah.
So, and another thing is it was due to the Ottawa match. But there have been other incidents as well. There was one
Columbus.
Yes, that's the one I was talking
about. They burned a guy.
Yeah, they basically burned him with flares. I think it was in TFC that in Toronto that happened.
No, it was in Columbus.
Was it Columbus?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Going to the States and doing that.
Yeah,
clever.
And other CPL news: the Canadian Soccer Business, which is their kind of business side, CPL's business side, announces that the post game is going to represent the sale of its global media rights. They're basically a leading digital sports content and marketing agency, and they're going to be kind of selling the broadcast rights to other places around the world, including the national team, CPL like we talked about, and with the professional league set to debut in 2019. Sorry. I'm thinking MLS for some reason. What do you guys think of that? They're obviously trying to... Is it a good thing that they're giving this away to somebody else and kind of having another middleman, or is it good to have somebody who knows what they're doing in this situation?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this. This is, a lot of Canadian supporters have been talking about this week. Is this a good thing? And if CSB is really outsourcing a number of these large, significant elements, then what is it really meant to do? But then again, the people who are running it already have full-time affairs that they're looking after, so it's a little bit weird. But hopefully it plays out okay. I haven't asked around too much, but hopefully maybe in future weeks we can talk about that with some more, Steve.
So a couple of news parts from this weekend that will probably appear on the BC Soccer web this on Monday. Giovinco takes another shot at the BMO playing field surface. Basically, this is his code. We continue to play sand on the grass, he said in English. The Argos play, the TFC2 plays, everybody plays on the field, and every game we lose a player. This is not possible. And then he was quickly ushered away by, I think, somebody in the media side of like TFC.
Yeah, their PR people.
The PR people to get away to stop talking about it.
Is he in the final year of his guaranteed deal?
Yes.
Yeah. So... maybe he's posturing a bit.
Yeah.
There was another bit of the quote. I was trying to find it.
I think that's all he said, and he left.
I think he said something else just before.
You can't blame him.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's spot on.
At least he doesn't have to play on turf.
I like when players just call it as it is.
Yeah. Maybe they don't fine their players for saying those things there.
So
who would do that?
Last little bit, Edmonton Soccer Dome is set to become the biggest indoor facility in Canada. It's basically located south of Edmonton. The dome actually covers 135,000 square feet, which I think if I remember correctly, or I saw it somewhere, that the soccer field is about 68,000. So it's equal to possibly 2 soccer fields, or if they play 7-on-7, it would be equal to 4 there. So they could play basically all year round, and they're talking about other sports being able to use it too. So it's a good investment, I think, for football.
Wish we had that a few years ago for the Voyageurs Cup.
A dome in TFC in Toronto?
No, in Edmonton.
In Edmonton. Oh, that's a good point.
When it snowed in May.
You would have played indoor.
They could have gone and played indoor.
No stands, though.
Then you would not have had a great story to tell your grandchildren. Anyway, that is it for this week's show. Just before we go, just let all your grandchildren know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat. And Zach?
For me, it's Zach at Zachary AM on Twitter. I'm a part of a Move It Curve Collective in which the first row or 2 or 3 is for children and their guardians or parents. So come and join us sometime.
Male and female.
Yes.
Okay, just to re-clarify that point. I am Michael McCaw. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff away from the numbers. AFTN.ca. Give us a follow on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. And give us a nice review on iTunes if you want. If you don't like the show, don't bother. But if you do, give us a nice 5-star review. Always handy. That is it. Thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the cap.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.